Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. I did tell you we're going to be having another great conversation woven around the circular economy, but majorly on how best we can break the cycle of poverty using waste management and, of course, waste valorization as a proper recipe. We'll be talking about that shortly, but let's take you through the roads. Ajah Corridor, we can tell you free flow of traffic from Jubilee Bridge connecting Ajah inwards Abraham, Adesoya and Ogombo Road down to areas like Olokunla, all looking pretty good. From there to Ogidon is a smooth ride as we speak right now. Ogidon connecting ShopRite, Crown Estate, Awoyaya, Lakowe, as well as Eleko Junction, extending to the T Junction, and Ayeturu is moving pretty fine as we speak right now. Return journey, Ayeturu linking up with the T Junction, heading towards Eleko Junction, all those areas, Schoolgate, and of course, Abijo, Majek, ShopRite, and Ogidon down to Landway is very much in good shape as we speak. From there to the University View Estate, moving pretty fine on a faster note, and linking up with Abraham Adesoya on the return journey down to Ajah is looking pretty good as well. Right here in Ikeja, things are still looking pretty fine. No major worries. The construction corridor, we still have slow and steady movement heading towards Ojota from the interchange, linking up with New Garage, as well as the Canter Flow Point at Odoyalaro. Beyond that point, it gets much better. Maryland, Anthony, heading towards Fadeyi, connecting Stadium, Funshaw Williams, and of course, the Eco Bridge. All those areas are still very smooth corridors to link up with the island. The Third Milan Bridge as well. The entire bridge is looking good, but connecting the bridge might have it a little bit slow from Alakbere. Nothing unusual. Fuel dispensing activity, but of course, they are properly streamlined within that corridor, so no major worries as well. Okay then, so some 3 weeks back, we started this conversation when we reflected a bit on circular economy and the imperatives for a robust development of Lagos. So today we're taking that conversation a notch higher. We're trying to break the cycle of poverty through innovative waste valorization strategies. And joining me in the studio right now, I have Titi Oshodi. She is the special advisor to the governor on climate change and circular economy. Madam, it's nice to have you in the studios. Good morning.
Thank you so much for having me once again.
And how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm so excited to be in here, especially with the
live camera.
The live camera. This is really enthralling.
I was just about to ask you, so what do you make of that? Is it the first time you're seeing this kind of thing here?
This is the first time. I just had no idea. This is how you project. This is how you forecast, the ways, the highways and the streets. This is really, kudos to Lagos. This is definitely 21st century material. We have to give it to our governor.
Right, definitely. He's the one driving all of this.
Yes.
And we so appreciate him for it.
Oh, yes.
All right, then. So 3 weeks ago, we started the conversation on circular economy and the significance for a robust development of Lagos. But for those who missed that session, Mrs. Oshodi, let's rewind a bit to just dwell on that. What is circular economy?
So we said that circular economy is essentially an economic tool that is used to help our communities and businesses to manage their waste, to generate revenue, and to be able to scale businesses from. So it's a financial and economic empowerment tool, essentially.
Right. So this is where we are driving right now. And I remember asking you, is this concept indigenous to us or is it a global practice?
I said it's a regular concept, for people who even make for our homemakers, because if you do not want waste in your home, if you do not want waste in your office, then you have to develop tactics and strategies to be able to reuse, to reduce and to recycle materials that you are either connected to emotionally, or if that you would like to use, or if you think that you do not have that culture of leaving things or throwing things away, then you can devise strategies of reusing them.
Right.
So that is essentially what circular economy is about, how you're able to infuse longevity into whatever you use, and even at the point of production, you have an idea of what you're going to use that item for at the end of the journey.
Right. So in terms of the consciousness level, and I need you to get closer to the microphone, by the way. So, but in terms of the consciousness level right here in Lagos, how do I tell the market woman, the meat seller out there, that these waste that are generated from whatever activity they're into is money? It can be turned to money in their hands. How do I tell them and they will begin to believe me?
Well, first and foremost is just creating that awareness and getting them to see the believability of it. That's why we're simulating projects. That's why we're throwing out initiatives so that they can feel, we can immerse them in the experiential opportunities that we're projecting. Community by community.
Right.
Yes, and also just to make them find value by themselves. So by testing it, by seeing that they can actually make something out of it, word gets around. That market, within the bottom of the pyramid, word gets around very fast amongst them, between them. So the idea now is that once we begin to generate that advocacy and we're driving the knowledge in that space, we're also infusing businesses that need the waste that they generate on a daily basis.
Right.
And we're establishing that exchange for value. So they will spread the word amongst themselves.
Right. So as we speak today, I hear Lagos generates about 14,000 tons of waste. Is that correct?
Lagos, yes. Lagos generates there about 14,000 tons of waste, and that's on an annual, right?
Right.
We haven't even been able to optimize up to 4% of that waste.
So yes. I'm just curious. So this 14,000 can generate huge sums of money, so to say.
That is the idea. That is, the narrative that we're driving out right now, that there are economic opportunities that are availing in the waste that we generate. Also to let people know that waste comes in different forms, and each of these various categories of waste have people who already are working within the space to collect and to harvest those waste in exchange for their businesses to grow as well.
So let's talk about this waste valorization.
Yes.
Is that one of the concepts under this?
Waste valorization is essentially how we process waste in exchange for something else. So within the ambit of ECOcirculate, what we have done is recycle the existing infrastructure within the Lagos State Administration. We have social amenities that are inherent within the transport system, within the health industry, within the telecommunication, within the food industry. So the commissioners within that ministry are people that we have collaborated with, and that's one of the beauty of this event or of this project in itself. We've been able to collaborate with several key agencies across Lagos State, like LASRA. LASRA has the mandate to keep data according to the number of residents, within the metropolis. We help them to be able to get those numbers and coagulate the feed that they need. We work with LASHMA as well, because they also want to be able to drive the executive order that the governor has set out, to ensure that the citizenry of Lagos have access to social insurance health scheme.
Right.
And so, we're also helping them to be able to get that, because at the end of it all, we need to aggregate data that would help us to be able to simulate the preferred solution per location, and we also need to be able to use it to drive and design the policies that will be needed for the regulation of these spaces.
So let's talk about data now. So where are we in terms of data for this valorization?
At this point in time, we have already piloted 2 projects. We did one at Idiaraba under the Leave No One Behind scheme, and we've been able to draw data within Idiaraba up to about 1,500 community members.
Okay.
The idea is that we're going to expand it. So we have a follow-through sustainable plan that is in space right now, and we're working with quite a number of material recovery enterprises to do that. They're the ones that will give us, on the back end, the numbers when they start to cultivate and when they start to chronolize it.
Right.
We also have numbers that are developing in Badagry, but also understand that we're scaling this across all local governments, right? So the plan is to have at least 2 to 3 communities and within the LCDAs. So we are looking at 57 local governments, including the LCDAs. And in each of those communities, the plan is to have a hub model where these material recovery enterprises and the private sector would have a handshake in terms of establishing the infrastructure for collection.
Right.
And at each point, when the community members come in, we have a chance to be able to capture data, to be able to capture the details. And we're also going to be interfacing with LASRA and with LASHMA as well to ensure that we're touching all of the spots within Lagos.
All right. So would it be right to say that most of the things that you do will help probably have a handshake with some of those agencies that are under different ministries, so to put it fair and square? So is it likely that you're going to be working with Loma, right?
Absolutely. We worked with Loma at Badagry because there's no way we cannot interface with agencies like Loma or LASEPA or or the even those who do deforestation. This is the reason we are driving economic empowerment,
right?
But we're using waste as a tool to grab the opportunities or to unlock the opportunities for empowerment.
So what would you say to those who would say, well, all well said, fair and square, but this sounds like duplication of efforts if you look at what has been in existence before with the likes of Loma, they are reduce, reuse, and recycle, all those kind of concepts. Will it not amount to the same thing?
No, because we're staying the same. It's the same message that we're driving. Like I said, that we had started, Loma had drawn this program like this. If you remember when they were doing the identify your bags, and they had bags in different colors.
Right.
Now, the gap at that point was that at some point, people could not even understand what color of bag would be used for what waste item. That's one. 2, the sustainability of that culture in itself, was another aspect that we need to bridge as fast as possible. This is the reason. We understand that for our own mentality, the people that we are at, if you're not navigating for change through an economic perspective, then it's not likely that you will hold on for quite a bit, for a long time.
Right.
So now that we have understood and we know that within the space of private sector and our MSMEs, because they need to continue to do business, we need to hinge and design our models around them so that their own businesses can be sustained and they can also begin to work within the global space, the global framework, which is under the economic, environmental, social, and governance framework. Okay. Within this framework, they have the responsibility from the manufacturers who have the obligation to provide material recovery for what they produce, and I'm saying a lot of technical things, but I'm trying to break it down as much as possible.
Right.
So for companies like Coca-Cola, for companies like Leslie, they have the obligation to pick up all of their waste that has been dispersed through their distribution network, right? And there is a budget that is, allocated for that. So that means that if you need that job to be done, then you're going to employ tools and human resource to achieve that. Now, if you deploy that strategy through enterprises who also engage the communities to bring their collections, to bring their waste, to the point. At the point of sorting, each brand is able to capture the number or the quantity or the mandate that they need for their waste to be recovered back into their industry.
Right. Okay, then. So here, you've obviously just given us one kind of scenario, but I needed to also, look at other scenarios now on how all of this will work. Waste valorization, for instance. So those who are listening to us right now, they're wondering, yes, the special advisor has spoken so well. She has articulated the policy framework for all of this, but in terms of implementation, how is it going to work out that will affect me and you out there. So how can they plug in into all of this? So I need you to give us a scenario from community to even the corporate governance structure, then to the facility that is put in place by government for material recovery. I just need to give us a clearer scenario. Okay.
So, for instance, let's take the Badagry that we activated as a case point. After activation, so we drove the education of it. We enlightened people. We got them to be involved by bringing in their plastics. And in Badagry, they brought textile, they brought plastic, PET bottle, and they brought e-waste. We did ask for oil, cooking oil, and motor oil, but we didn't have so much of that. Now, the plastics would be weighed.
Okay.
They would give them the value in terms of the weight, and there is a global standard pricing mechanism
already
that is existing. So we calculate that and we tell you what the value of your plastic is. Same with textile, right? And then we had a spread of the material recovery. And when I say material recovery enterprises, I mean those MSMEs who are already playing within the space of collection. They are aggregators, and they also use data to play with partners in the carbon market.
Right.
Okay. So because it is already mechanized on a global space, they collect, they do the aggregation, they do the calculation, and then they either give you whatever money? It is that you want. Either money.
Will they give me money?
Yes.
Okay.
They give you money. So there were POS people who were doing fund transfer on the ground.
Right.
There were people
So if I bring like 2 kilograms, how do you weigh it now?
Yes.
So if I bring 2 kg of plastic bottles,
1 kg of plastic bottles right now it goes at 600 naira.
600 naira.
Yes.
Wow. So if
and
I bring
1 kg is about 20 to 30 PET bottles.
All right. So if I bring that, they will give me in exchange a 600 naira or 1,200 naira for 2 kilograms, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Then from there, what's the next thing?
So from there, you then, we capture your data, right? Now, at the end of it all, we have that collection, that space, that infrastructure, the facility that we have used to activate that event. We would designate that place as a collection center.
All right, let me bring this to your attention, because I know before now we've been trying to encourage and champion the idea of recycling, especially of these PET bottles. There was a time it was a huge problem. People always throwing these plastics in drainage channels and all of that, and then we're trying to encourage that. But the challenge people were reporting was that there was no adequate facility for picking up these PET bottles. Has that changed?
So that's another aspect that we're beginning to work on right now. And this is where, at the time that we completed that project, we have started to build a landscape of private sectors who would help in establishing collection facilities at designated collection points. So we're proposing to work with social amenity or social spaces like either petrol stations or schools, or where you have a community that can do an easy walk-in. We're even talking to faith-based organizations, right? Because at the point that we establish that ecosystem, everybody gets to win. Even if we're going to the faith-based organization, they can develop human resource and human capacity within that space for their people as well. So all we need is a space to be able to establish a good, structured collection facility that people can go and drop their items, and they can get either a token after it is weighed, right? And what it means is that at each collection center, the devices, the mechanisms, the infrastructure that is needed for that proper value chain to be established, you will have human resources and all of that established there. So the private sector have a role, and we're also beginning to have a conversation with some organizations in that place.
All right, then Lagos Traffic Radio, that is 6.1 FM. Your side mirror this morning, we're taking a microscopic look at how best to break the cycle of poverty using waste valorization strategies. And you're hearing from the special advisor to the governor on climate change and circular economy. I'm talking about roundabout, Mrs. Titi Oshodi. She's breaking it all down for us this beautiful Friday morning. All right, Victoria Island Corridor, we can tell you traffic is busy, but it's a moving one, really. Vehicular movement from Mekwe Bridge connecting Bonny Camp roundabout at the moment. This is due to high influx at the intersections, and of course the roundabout is also responsible. Descending from Bonny Camp Bridge inwards Ahmadu Bello Way is a moving traffic at the moment. Slow when you're approaching Mobile Filling Station. Of course, we have a fuel dispensing activity going on there, so it's a busy one. Appreciable movement continues after the fuel station at Detokumbo at Demola, and then getting busy approaching Eco Hotel roundabout. This is due to the high influx that we have within that particular corridor. I just say Adeogun, Legally, Ayanride, as well as Oniru Axis, Water Corporation, cool and calm at the moment, no major worries. The return journey, we can tell you, is still very encouraging at the moment, and that is where it is looking like within that corridor. Okay, then, so we can expand the discourse beyond the studios also to have your inputs this morning. And so if you want to ask the special advisor to the governor on climate change and circular economy, any question, feel free to connect with us at the moment. 080-99-120-777 and 091-5387-7127. Okay, those are the numbers that you can use to connect with us. Of course, as we can also take your messages too, as they connect to come in as well. So Mr. Oshodi, let's get to this. So when you look at what we have on ground right now, infrastructure wise, where are we with the infrastructure for proper waste valorization?
Where are we? Okay, so I think that, like I said again, we already have existing infrastructure within various agencies in Lagos that we're going to tap into to create value in exchange for waste that we propose to collect. Okay. We already have a landscape of small, medium enterprises who also are willing to collect waste. We now are building a portfolio of private sector people who are going to establish the infrastructure, who are going to establish the mechanism and the technology that we desire, so that this process is as seamless, is as convenient, is as affordable, and is as accessible for our people as much as possible.
So what kind of technology are we talking about here?
We're talking about, there are machines that are called reverse vending machines. Yes.
Okay.
If you go to countries, to the Western countries, you just have something like an ATM machine.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bigger one.
That's true.
And people can just haul their items, whatever it is that they want in exchange, and they dump it into these machines, and
it gives them the value and brings out.
There are processes that you go through, automated processes, and then you put those things, and then you get your token, and you can go and valorize it or get value from it from any of the agencies or whatever it is that you want in return. So that's the sort of model, that's the sort of infrastructure that we're trying to establish in Lagos.
Beautiful. And that would be pretty nice. I mean, if you have this kind of structures in place, it makes things much easy.
Yes.
Once you bring in your waste, the waste you want to recycle, it can easily be valued.
I hear, because, even for me, through this journey right now, I've not only harvested my PET bottles, I have harvested even organic waste from my kitchen.
You
understand? Because I don't feel comfortable throwing away my organic waste anymore. So I have a bucket that is covered, that I throw this organic waste remnants and food, because I know that there is a place that I activated in Idiaraba that they need constant organic waste in exchange for the biofuel that they use in their kitchen.
Wow.
Imagine if the estate that I work, that I stay in, if I'm able to harvest all of their organic waste, and right there within the community there is a device, or there is somewhere that we can feed that organic waste in exchange for either electricity or for biofuel or for kitchen for kitchen purpose. You understand? You know that we're not only going to be reducing the pressure on the landfills, we're not only going to be reducing the pressure on enforcement, which government spends a lot of money on, but we're also going to be unlocking opportunities for people who can work within that space, because you need people to be able to harness and ensure that those systems are in place.
Right.
Businesses who are also collecting those waste as well can continue to expand and grow their businesses.
So, I'm having some messages that are
Yes.
coming in here for you here. This one says, "Good morning, Victor." And the SA say, "How can waste valorization create job opportunities for low-income individuals?" Thanks. Bola Tito is sending that one in.
Bola Tito, thank you for that question. I'll give you a quick example. The lady who came, the business person who came as a textile recovery waste material person, right? She left that place with almost 3 tons of textile.
Wow.
And because she did not envisage that she would have that volume of waste, she actually engaged 4 women in that community to help her with the sorting, with the taking out of the accessories. With waste, with textile, you take out the button, you take out lining, you will stretch out, So she had to engage 4 to 5 women for a few days, right, to be able to help her with the sorting and the segregation of her textile, which she hit so much. Now, imagine if we have that sort of thing sustained within communities. That's a clear example of job opportunity.
Right. All right. Then this one says, "Good morning, Traffic Radio. How does the Lagos State government support? How does Lagos State government? Okay, let's take this call. Hello there. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
All right. What's your name?
My name is Bode.
Bode. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Surulere.
Okay, but I'm getting some excitement in the studio this morning because the essay is giving me some kind of revelations on some of the things that we can do instead of throwing waste away. She's making me realize that I can generate a whole lot of money. But what's your question to her, or what's your contribution?
Yeah, my contribution is that in the rural areas where we have more, poor people, what kind of project, what kind of education is the government giving them there? And what project has the government themselves done, to generate waste to wealth?
Okay. But you said your location is Surulere, right?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for your question. Thank you. All right. Special advisor?
That question doesn't seem very clear.
Okay.
So first and foremost,
says in rural areas.
Yes. He says, what project do we need to generate waste?
To generate waste to wealth.
Now, like I said again, this plan, the ECOcirculate project, is going to be scaled across local government areas. Okay, and we have started with Badagry. The reason why we piloted Badagry is because we want to ensure that we are capturing the necessary data for either a coastal city or a terrestrial city. And we're already working on that. Surulere is definitely one of the places that we're going to come.
Okay.
This is an avenue to create that awareness, to let community members begin to know that their waste can have potential economic value. Right, we need to start creating, cultivating that habit to not throw away our waste, because when we come to a place like Surulere, what we're saying is that harvest your waste in one place.
Okay.
Begin to look for collectors that are scattered across the metropolis. Collectors are aggregators, they are business people. Our young ones should start to research and look for those who operate in that space. We have recyclers, we have Alchem, we have Packham.
Okay.
These are people that collect waste and they give you something in exchange in return for that. Now, our own job as a government is to enable the facilitation of that activity between those who have it and those who need it.
So, Mrs. Oshodi, is it every waste that will fall into this valorization program?
We will have waste cutting across PET bottle, can, textile, cooking oil, black oil, and we would even have solid waste as well, because over a period of time right now, we have begun to work with our economy business network members, and we have about 400 of them. they have representatives and they have mechanisms around developing values for these areas.
All right, so other messages coming in. This one says, Mrs. Oshodi, how can rural communities benefit from waste valorization? Kashim Alao is sending that one in. Rural communities...
You can start to benefit by creating awareness.
Okay.
We need to start to talk about it to every member of the family. We need to enjoin our schools to drive that awareness because, like I said, when the government begins to facilitate and establish these collection centers within the communities, all you need to do is identify where those community centers are and go and exchange your waste. But aside from that, you can also start a business in that area. Waste in itself is something that you do not need heavy capital on. So imagine that you begin to harvest, you have a space and you're able to harvest any type of waste that you think that you're easily accessible to. You can get in touch with us. We can connect you with the right person to be able to develop and build a business.
All right, beautiful. So any program coming up, courtesy of your office to also bring more awareness and take this to another level?
ECOcirculate is still in session. It is still ongoing.
Okay.
We're moving from community to community.
When is the next community?
The next community would be either Ikorodu or there's one place. I think
Ekpe?
I think it's Ikorodu or Ekpe.
Okay.
Yes, it's one of those two.
Okay.
We have Leave No One Behind, which is also one of the ones that have been targeted towards our facility, our correctional facilities, to be able to drive inclusivity. And we also have the Charity Begins at Home project that we want to start within our own locality back in Alausa.
All right, then. So let's begin to take this home this morning. For those who want to connect, for those who would like to really, really have more of all of this that you've mentioned on the program this morning, and then they also want to look for best ways of plugging into this, how can they connect with your office?
Our office is at Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget, and our social handles are all over. Just check us out on Instagram. There is no message that you send that we do not respond to. If you send us an email, we will respond to it. We have a very strong communication team who engage people on a daily basis. So any instruction or any ideas, we need more people on board. We need people to get on the train for circular economy, and also to understand that this is the next frontier. And I know very much that the governor is very, very entrenched and very, very involved in this process.
Right. As we run this out, really, if you're going to put a figure to the circular economy that we have in Lagos, how many billions how much can we generate?
In Nigeria, in Lagos State.
In Lagos.
Well, we're looking at about 3. We said 3. According to the McKinsey report, we have about 2 to 3 trillion to be generating from this space.
Wow.
Yes.
2 to 3 trillion naira.
Yes.
This is huge.
Yes. 2 to 3 trillion naira.
Wow. This is huge. Okay, that's very, very big indeed. I'm hoping that someday we can really, really get you back, and then we can talk a whole lot more about all of this. But I've learned a lot from you, madam, this morning. So let me say a big, big thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Okay, then. So we've tried in our own little way to, look at best ways of breaking the circle of poverty using waste valorization strategies as a recipe for the attainment of that. We have to go. The program has been produced by Mike James. I say a big thank you always to Busola Aroloye. She is, of course, the Chief Public Affairs Officer for the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget, working tirelessly behind the scene to ensure that this program comes on stream. I say a big thank you to you, to others as well, and of course those who have accompanied the special advisor to the studios. We do appreciate you. Okay, then, my name is Victor Oteri. I say a big thank you to Okpa Emishodunke, Remy Aloko. Both of our social media units. Our executive producer is Tayo Akonle. I'll be back shortly for the benchmark.
Father, plenty money for my backyard.